Hey everyone, it's Cody. Today was the hearing for the motion to quash subpoenas in Mindy Willens versus ZeroDarkTony, also known as Anthony R. D'Amato Jr. Let's just say, it didn't go how D'Amato probably expected. I was present, as well as others who had received a subpoena in the case, including Clea and Dodge. William Gudd, through his attorney, had also filed a motion to quash, but that motion was scheduled for another day. Counsel present were Merritt McKeon for the petitioner, Mindy Willens. Marianne Borselli stood in for Stephen Tamer, who represents ZeroDarkTony. First red flag: no Tamer, no Tony. The judge, Kimberly Rebecca, opened by saying she'd reviewed all the filings. The issue at hand today was whether the subpoenas D'Amato's lawyer filed should be thrown out. The judge started by walking through the use of discovery in civil harassment cases. This was in response to the arguments made in the motion to quash that discovery isn't allowed in this case. The judge's response was that discovery isn't an automatic right, but it's also not forbidden. If there's good cause, it can be allowed. She can grant discovery if there's good cause. For example, if a petitioner had control over a piece of evidence, like surveillance, that could be used as part of a respondent's defense, then if the respondent made a motion to have that turned over, the judge could see good cause and grant that. However, that's not at all what Tamer and Tony tried to do here. They just issued a slew of subpoenas without telling anyone, hoping to get information from Google, Reddit, and X about account holders. The judge then addressed the subpoenas themselves. She said they were overbroad, irrelevant, and her words, concerning. She brought up the online statements from D'Amato himself. The statements were the ones I cited in my objection. My objection, as well as Clea's, were an exhibit in the motion. Those quotes, where he joked and laughed about using subpoenas to harass people, were part of my exhibit. And today, the judge said they caused her concern. So yeah, he laughed about these objections when Clea and I served them a few weeks ago. But now, he seems silent on the matter. When the judge asked for an explanation, Borselli admitted she didn't have one. She said she'd been in another trial earlier that morning, ran back to her office to log on, and couldn't reach Tamer. She called, texted, emailed, nothing. So there was no good cause argument. She had no idea what cause he had to subpoena the information. So the judge granted the motion to quash. She said D'Amato already had the opportunity to justify those subpoenas and didn't. She called them a fishing expedition and said they looked like harassment. She sounded pretty annoyed. McKeon also made an ask for sanctions in the form of attorney's fees. McKeon also pointed out that most of the records D'Amato subpoenaed weren't even about her client. They were about other people. Some of those same people are the ones D'Amato has been filing restraining order cases against all over Los Angeles County. McKeon called it all crazy, seeming to try to persuade the judge that there's more going on with what D'Amato is trying to accomplish. The judge didn't disagree. There was a short detour about subpoenas being sent to wrong addresses. The judge said she wasn't assigning bad faith over that. But in regards to the subpoenas themselves, she said Tamer better have a good explanation for why he's seeking them in this case, because it's a fishing expedition, it is harassing witnesses, and it is wasting the court's time and judicial resources in order to do it. Judge Rebecca didn't decide sanctions yet, but she gave Tamer a deadline, November 13th, to file a supplemental reply explaining the supposed good faith behind it all. She scolded Tamer through Ms. Borselli, saying he had agreed to today's date for the hearing, and that there were even other dates offered. So the judge was not willing to extend the case any further to accommodate him, since he had written what she called a bare-boned reply to the motion as it was. Now Tamer has one last chance to defend that the subpoenas were made in good faith. If he doesn't, she said he should expect her to award attorney's fees to the petitioner. In the end, the judge set the next hearing for November 20th. She made it clear the subpoenas are dead. Both motions to quash are granted. The only thing left to decide is whether Tamer gets sanctioned for issuing them without good cause. My takeaway? The judge was patient but unimpressed. She saw right through the nonsense. Borselli probably felt like she got dropped into a disaster. McCann and Mindy came ready. And Mr. D'Amato's own words, the ones he laughed about being included in the objections, are now part of the official record that sank his subpoenas. The subpoenas are quashed, sanctions are on the table, and unless Tamer can pull off a miracle by November 13th, the next round on November 20th could come with a price tag. So that's it, folks. Thanks to Zoe for having me do a guest spot on your channel. Please make sure to check out my Substack at Hero Like Cody, as well as the subreddit Hero Not Zero, where I'll post my original objection. Have a good night.